Okay.
Hello, hello. This is Disaster Central live for earthquake coverage in Cuba. A massive 6.9 earthquake has struck um, Cuba. Oh my, what the hell? We have a there you go. We're live. We have a 6.9 magnitude earthquake that has struck Cuba approximately like 20 minutes ago, somewhat like that. Um, this struck about south. This struck on southern Cuba. Um, I'm introduced by, or let's just introduce the team. Let's introduce the team members. We have um, Mike Arctic.
Yo.
Any information to give right now, or just
Uh. So far, nothing. Um. Just the fact that the one thing to note is that there is the Pacific. What was it? The Pacific Warning Center, or not the Pacific Warning Center?
It'd be the national because
The
it's on the East
national, yeah,
Coast.
whatever. The point is, there's no tsunami threat. There is no tsunami threat to the U.S. at least. To Cuba, there may be some minor fluctuations, but we don't expect a huge tsunami at this time. We don't really expect it because it's kind of too. It's a little too small to produce a big tsunami. So.
yep.
There's that.
And yes, the earthquake struck about 20 minutes ago, and it was approximately 0 kilometers deep, which means that considering that Cuba is generally, at least southern Cuba, generally is more of a flatter terrain compared to the northern part of Cuba, um, the shaking will be felt a lot more violently than if, per se, this earthquake struck just around 75 to 80 miles north. Um, but there is Cuba, and you can see pretty much there. Um, there's Cuba, and you can see there that practically the red indicates violent shaking. Um, the red indicates violent shaking, so this would be intensity 9. Of course, we don't expect it to be intensity 9 actually, but I would like to point out, however, there was a 5.9 earthquake that did strike about an hour prior to this one around the Cuba region. So this could be a foreshock event. Or this probably is a foreshock to that previous earthquake that we did see
It
about an
was.
hour ago.
It was a foreshock. Yeah. Yes, it was a foreshock. Yeah.
Um, More aftershocks, of course, will be expected, probably, considering that, again, this area, and by the way, just do want to mention, this area doesn't generally get earthquakes of this size relatively commonly at all. I think the last time we saw something like this was something close to this part of the region was 2021 with the
I mean, last big earthquake, yeah, but the last earthquake that affected that general region of Cuba was 1947. At least 1947. Yeah, 1947. And that struck Santiago de Cuba, and that was also, interestingly enough, that was also around 6.8. So, yeah.
yeah. So
But luckily, this one, Santiago de Cuba is east of the epicenter. It's like way east, so this is like way more west away from it. So I guess that's good. The general area that it struck is kind of not so populated, which is kind of good. Obviously not good if it's close to the epicenter. And also, there's a mountain range north of it, which mountain ranges are really good at hindering the seismic waves, like how they propagate. And so, as a result, towns that are like north of the mountain range probably got less intense shaking as a result compared to if the mountains weren't there. So I guess that's also a good thing. The geography kind of helped out a little bit here too. But I still expect that a lot of cities received at least like MMI 5 to 6, maybe 7 shaking. So that's still pretty bad.
Yeah, and I just do want to currently point out some possible locations that did experience intensities 5 and 6, which is what you're seeing on the right hand of the screen. You can see there with the yellow and the green. Just do want to mention that this was possibly felt by 6.6 million people and was possibly heavily felt by 688,000 people. Intensity 6 could have been felt in Bartolomé Mazo, in Buey Arriba, in Guama Abajo, Yara,
I'm sorry.
breaking.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I do wanna say yellow pager for both economic losses and fatalities.
Yeah, it's 32% chance at 10 to 100.
Yeah,
Yes.
32% between 10 to 100 and 38% between 10 to $100 million in damages.
There is no tsunami threat, at least for the United States.
Oh, there's video. There's video of it. There's possible video of it being of it shaking an apartment building in Miami or wherever this is. Yeah, Miami. That's actually crazy.
So shaking
Yeah,
could have been felt
that's
in
in the-
Miami, is what you're saying.
Maybe, yeah.
Wild.
So let me just really quickly do that. Hold on.
The shake map is also out, by the way, and it's pretty bad. Not gonna lie. Yeah, like I was saying, the mountain range helped reduce the seismic wave propagation, but it's still towns north of the mountain range there still probably got, like I said, between MMI 6 to 7, so it's still pretty bad in that regard. In fact, pretty much all of eastern Cuba or southeastern Cuba got some sort of shaking. So, and Jamaica also got shaking as well. The entire island of Jamaica also got shaking. And the western tip of Haiti, too, probably.
Roshan, to answer your question, not that we know of, we do not expect a tsunami for neighboring islands, at least for now. There is a chance that this could very quickly change. However, just given the fact that it is at its size, a 6.4 for now, we generally do not expect a tsunami to come out of this. So that should just answer your question. And for those who are just tuning in, we are currently providing coverage for this big time earthquake that just struck, and very rare earthquake that just struck this general part of Cuba about 30 minutes ago, or about 23 minutes ago. Given for these, just given the fact that it is historical, because we haven't seen an earthquake like this since what, 1940 something or 18 something like that.
Yeah, 1947 in that general region of Cuba.
Yeah, and just do want to quickly point out that this earthquake has potentially been felt by over 6 million people, at least according to Global Quake, and has been heavily felt by around maybe a little over half a million people. We will be live. We'll be taking your questions.
Yeah.
We will be taking your questions on this coverage, and we are getting a few of them. Are we physical geographers? I mean, I guess if you're asking if we're professionals, no. I mean,
No, but we're very passionate in what we do, and we know quite a bit because we like to cover these kinds of events, these kind of like earthquakes in general. So we like to cover them. We know quite a bit, at least. Not as much as a professional, but enough, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, suppose so. Um, so yeah, this earthquake again. Just to recap for those who are tuning in, 6.4 struck Cuba approximately 15 minutes ago, and this earthquake has now been potentially felt by a little over 500,000 people, and could have been felt by a little over 6.5 million people. So over uh, uh, 6 million people. More aftershocks will be expected with this earthquake, and I think we're seeing one right now with the seismo station that is next to the 6.4. I think we are beginning to see aftershocks begin to come in, but just a general rule of thumb, there is no tsunami threat expected for this area, and yeah, that's what you need to know for right now. No tsunami threat is expected for both the United States and Cuba, as well as the neighboring islands. However, what you should expect is more aftershocks. The pager, there's I think a 38% chance of over or between 10 to 100 fatalities or something like that um, to come out of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think we are seeing an aftershock.
Also, I do want to. I also want to point out ground failure estimates from this earthquake. The landslide estimate: limited area affected, little or no population exposed. So, like I said, the mountain range there that it struck, it's very sparsely populated. The landslides probably didn't pose any kind of risk, honestly, because of how sparsely populated it is. Maybe to some people, but not too many. And for liquefaction estimate, the liquefaction estimate is a significant area affected and significant population exposed. So there might be quite a bit of impact from liquefaction in some areas.
Well, that also just that also adds on to what Cuba, because Cuba got hit by I think a tropical storm Oscar or Hurricane Oscar, um, a little while ago, and I mean these areas are already wet. These areas are already muddy, and just with liquefaction alone from this earthquake, we could be potentially talking well over more of an area now being exposed to this potential event. Now, again, given this geography of this part of the area as well, we could also be talking landslides being a massive threat to remote villages or islands or cities that are in this area, just general area. But my initial, I guess, guess will be that this will probably be the largest of the sequence. I think this is what we are witnessing is a sequence, because a little over 2 hours ago, or a little over an hour and 30 minutes ago, we saw a 5.9 earthquake that did strike Cuba, and then now we just saw that 6.4 approximately now 40 minutes ago. So what we're beginning to see now is a transition. We've already seen the biggest. We believe we've seen the biggest of the transit of the earthquakes. We're going to start transitioning more now into a sequence of aftershocks. Now, with these aftershocks, more likely or not, we'll see. And we're having an aftershock right now. The station right now in Cuba is now detecting a 207 volts of movement. Jamaica's detecting shaking as well. Multiple, or not shaking, but they're detecting waves. So there's an aftershock ongoing right now. But just this area is now more likely or not exposed. It's already been archived there. So this earthquake has been archived. But just do want to quickly point out that this earthquake is still ongoing. Or not ongoing. These aftershocks are still ongoing. And we're beginning to see these again. Let me just pull up a seismograph really quick and just put it on the corner Just now, more like they're not exposed. It's already been archived there. You're echoing. I think. Let me just. This is a seismograph that you'll be seeing. We're sharing that seismograph right now. It should be right there. There we go. We have an earthquake there.
I do want to. Some people are asking. One person asked, "Are there mountains in that area?" And yes, there are. Which kind of actually, like I said, kind of helped in terms of the shaking impact because mountains don't let seismic waves propagate through very well. So it kind of like reduces the shaking impact a little. It reduces the intensity of the shaking. But regardless, areas north of the mountain range still got MMI 6 to 7, which is strong to very strong shaking. So it's still very well possible that the impacts are quite significant, especially considering that the infrastructure of Cuba is not super good. So yeah.
We just got a aftershock. As you can see from that seismograph, and you can see from the mouse that I'm pointing at on that. And by the way, what you're seeing right here, right now, on your bottom right-hand screen, so you can see where the massive earthquake in Cuba, the main event thing, whatever, the text there. Below that, you have the seismograph that we're showing. This is live. This is a live seismograph. Now, just pay attention. We just saw this huge area of blue, and normally you see before earthquakes, when an earthquake strikes, you normally see a thickening of that blue line, and what you'll normally see is a big time. I don't know how to explain it per se, but you pretty much see a big uptick of earthquakes or of shaking, which pretty much shows that the seismograph is super active. What you're seeing right now, after this, the straight line, is that there is no shaking ongoing as we speak. But we do not have any new news to report, so we'll be taking your questions. So just leave us give us a shout, and we'll be answering your questions. Just answer your questions. Let's get into some of the questions. Considering the uptick in solar flares, we're calling the solar max. It's no wonder we're seeing an increase in quakes. I don't think that's related. So it looks like Cuba's having earthquakes and hurricanes that will carry to do so. I got an alert in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I didn't feel anything. It said no tsunami warning. Correct. Is this fault line linked to Jamaica? I don't think so.
Hold on.
Let's just check that real quick.
Let me check. Yeah.
And for those who are tuning in, let's just quickly recap what we've been tracking. A massive 6.4 to 6.8 earthquake has struck the coast or the region of Cuba.
I do want to say the fault line that causes the fault that causes earthquake is called the Oriente fault zone. I believe the symbol means it's a strike slip. And as a result, because it's a strike slip, it probably won't cause such a big tsunami either. But anyways, to answer the question, the Oriente fault zone is not directly linked to Jamaica. It is. I think it's somewhat linked by like another area west of it that is it's called the Mid-Cayman Spreading Center. I'm looking at this on Wikipedia, by the way, so I don't know if it's entirely accurate, but it might be connected, but it probably won't cause. If your concern is if it'll cause any earthquakes for Jamaica, I would say no. I don't think it will, because it is completely parallel to the Oriente fault zone. So I would say that the earthquake would not cause any additional seismic activity in like Jamaica. However, it is connected to the septentrional fault zone that goes north of Haiti and into the Dominican Republic. That's basically it's connected to that fault. So we'll see if that causes any additional activity in like Hispaniola in the Hispaniola area. But yeah.
And I just do want to quickly confirm that we did see a 3.8 magnitude earthquake aftershock that did strike Cuba just a short while ago. Yeah, we've been going through all over. Our team has been working behind the scenes just to try to see what information we can get. Do quickly want to point out that there was a 3.8 earthquake and an aftershock that struck about 10 minutes ago in this area. I think this is one way to start a Sunday morning. Just for starters,
I'm trying to see if there's any kind of videos coming up, but I think Cuba seems to be. I believe Cuba's has a power outage right now. Have a lot of power outages. So
no, I thought Cuba was in a blackout from Hurricane Rafael.
Yeah, that caused like a nationwide power outage, and I don't know if they fixed it because that hurricane went through like a few days ago, so I don't know if they fixed it entirely yet. So that's probably why it's hard to find any videos.
Yeah, so yeah,
there are a few videos of people like outside, like after they evacuated the buildings. Like there's a few videos of that, but so far no actual video of like the shaking to see like the actual impact the earthquake had. I haven't seen any of those yet.
Just don't forget to like and subscribe. It sounds terrible to say that after this event, but just want to quickly point out we just have to do what we have to do. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. I think we're the only ones to go live for this with actual commentary. So just don't forget to do that. Share this video out to as many people as you can, or stream out to as many people as we can, so we can get the information out to as many people as we can. Of course, for those who are watching, we can't do it without you guys. So
I'm sorry,
yeah.
can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I just changed the microphone settings real quick. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Roshan's saying that power restorations are typically slower in these islands. That is correct. It might take weeks or months in some places. I would expect these aftershocks or these power outages to last months. Now, especially considering the fact that I don't believe the infrastructure in some of these islands are sufficient to withstand earthquakes. Nor is some of the areas here, but What's the source for the seismogram? A seismograph. So this is Global Quake. Global Quake is a feature or is a program software that you can download when you search up Global Quake, and pretty much gives you access to, I think, over 14,000 stations around the world if you do want to track earthquakes. But that's the source. That's the source that we're using. We're also using USGS and EMSC.
Also, I want to point out real quick. The Global Quake. One good thing about the Global Quake feature is not only can you track earthquakes, but also Global Quake tries to basically give you an early warning about the earthquake. So it'll use multiple stations around the area, and it'll give you an early estimation of the magnitude, the shaking intensity, all that stuff. It'll try to send out an earthquake early warning, basically. If you know what Japan does with their earthquake early warnings, if you've ever seen those earthquake early warning notifications on their TVs and stuff like that, it's basically that. It's basically they're trying to issue an earthquake early warning for anybody that's within the area. But it's also good to know. It's also good to have because it tells you when the earthquake happens, basically like instantaneously. So I personally would download Global Quake if you're interested in knowing when earthquakes happen, basically like instantly. because it tries to do that. It's not always perfect, but it's a really good software. I would 100% recommend it to
I do want to
anybody.
just quickly point out, and just wanted to ask answer a question that Steven or Versturgen said. Steven Versturgen said that 6.9 was an aftershock. And Nurse M asks, why are there different reports of the magnitude? I've seen a 5.9. So basically, to answer that question, it's really a mix of what sources you're using, and as well as um, certain capabilities that some agencies have compared to other agencies. What we've seen, at least, is that we've seen a range from like a 5.9, or not this earthquake, but we've seen a range from a 6.3 to like a 6.9. The 5.9 that you're talking about happened 2 hours ago. That was the main shock. The earthquake that we're live right now is a
The
foreshock.
foreshock. No,
Um,
you got it mixed up. It's the opposite way. The 1 hours ago was the foreshock. This is the main shock.
oh, sorry. Yeah, the 5.9 was the foreshock. This one was the aftershock, which is also known as the main shock. Um,
The main shock tends to be, if it's bigger than the earthquake previous to it, it's the main shock. So,
I think we've seen
but yeah,
situations like this before, where we've seen, and more notably here in the United States, we have seen instances where not necessarily hours, but a day. We've seen instances like in 2019 in California where we saw what was it, a 6.3, and then we saw a 7.3 or something like that.
it was 6.4 and then 7.1. That was Ridgecrest, California, in 2019. I believe it was the 6.4 happened on July 4th, if I recall correctly, and then the 7.1 happened on July 5th.
Yeah, and more notably, some of these foreshock, main shock instances can happen months or years apart. If you'll recall, this at the beginning of the year, we saw a 7.4 earthquake that struck Noto Peninsula in Japan. The year prior, in May, we saw a 6.4 or 6.3.
6.3 or 4, yeah.
So these relationships between faults, these foreshock and main shocks, or these main shock foreshock events that happen, they can go from hours apart to days apart to potentially months apart. Uh, so what we can say right now is that while we can't guarantee that this is the biggest earthquake that we'll see, um, what we can say is that for right now, what you should be expecting are aftershocks. And just to answer the question of the depth, the current depth estimate that we have on Global Quake was 0 kilometers.
Right now, USGS says 23.5 kilometers, which 23.5 kilometers in miles to anyone who doesn't use kilometers.
It's
Give me
8
one
miles or
sec.
something like that.
It
But it's a range.
is
Essentially, it's a
14
range.
It's 14.6 miles.
So right now we've had range estimates, and from the sources that we use, can there be two foreshocks?
Yeah,
There can be.
there can be multiple. Yeah, there can be multiple foreshocks. Yeah.
So one of the more famous instances of this was not well. I don't think it was 2011, but I think we'll go with 2011. We saw a 7.3 on the 9th of March. Then at the 10th of March, we saw a 6.4. Now, given the fact that we didn't see, of course, that the second earthquake wasn't as big, it was relatively assumed that it was a aftershock. However, the 11th of March, we all know what happened there. There was a 9.1, and it turned out that those two events were the foreshock, and that 9.1 was the main shock. So to answer your question, yes, there can be two foreshocks, but the mathematical probabilities of that actually happening are so rare and so unlikely that it's more likely than not that we just see one foreshock event, just one foreshock.
One or two. Yeah.
But to answer your question, yes, there can be multiple foreshocks before the main shock.
But one good thing I do want to say is that usually we don't know what is a foreshock and what is the main shock until after they happen. So if this is the main shock in a hypothetical scenario where this is the foreshock, the 6.8 is the foreshock, we won't know it's the foreshock to a bigger quake until it actually happens. So
So what you're saying is that until then, it's Schrodinger's shock.
yeah,
It's both the main shock and the foreshock at the same time.
yeah. There may not be any main shock after this. This could just be the main shock, but we won't know until way later if anything happens at all.
Yeah. Of course, the other, just so I'm pretty sure you probably discussed this already. I mean, the other possibility is that after this earthquake, there's another substantial aftershock of more than magnitude 6. That is certainly possible. It could also be an earthquake series. Like, the point is, no one knows. That's the thing with earthquakes. At least so far, we have not come up with a reliable way of forecasting earthquakes, even after one earthquake in a series has already occurred. Whether
Yeah, and for those who are tuning in, because we're seeing a substantial amount of people tuning in, just want to quickly want to recap what we've just seen over the last about an hour and 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna be right back just to get drinking water, and then I'll leave it there and I'll be right back. But just want to point out what has happened in the last series of 40 minutes. There was a 6.5, a 6.4 to a 6.9 earthquake that struck Cuba, southern Cuba, approximately an hour ago. And prior to that, 3 hours ago, there was a 5.9 earthquake that struck Cuba. After that, we were told, and we've been confirmed by the Tsunami Warning Center, that a tsunami is not expected for the United States or neighboring islands. Without further ado, I will be right back. Mike and Felix, you two take over for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing that is relatively good about this earthquake is that if you look at the shake map, it occurred, I would say, probably in a relatively
Sparsely populated,
populated area, of Cuba.
Although the bad thing is that there is a mountain range there, so that's why it's sparsely populated. But in addition to that, there are a lot of towns, like I said before, there are a lot of towns north of that mountain range, and according to the shake map, they definitely got MMI between 6 to 7. That means strong to very strong shaking. So there is possibly damages to buildings and structures. That's very possible.
But the relatively sparsely populated nature of this area is exactly the reason why the USGS is only currently giving this a yellow pager, which means they currently estimate around 1 to 100 fatalities most likely, and around $1 to $100 million in damage. Of course, we have seen the pagers be wrong in the past. It's certainly not like definitive.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, if we look at the selected cities exposed, there is the settlement of Bartolomé Masso, which has 53,000 people, which is a pretty decent population, which got very strong shaking from this earthquake. So, yeah.
Also, another thing that I would like to point out is that this earthquake, there is video showing that this earthquake actually shook apartment buildings in Miami. There's video of like lamps swaying and stuff like that. So very possible that the seismic waves actually traveled that far and actually caused the buildings there to shake a little bit, which is really crazy. We usually don't see Florida getting a lot of earthquakes or shaking or anything like that, so it's crazy to see that. The last time there was something like this where it caused shaking in Florida, it was I believe 2020. There was a 7.7 off the coast of, I believe it was Jamaica. It was somewhere near the Cayman Islands, and there was a 7.7, and there was shaking in Miami, and it was crazy to see. It's still crazy to see that and think about the fact that they're shaking all the way in Miami.
Yeah, I wonder whether Ace, one of our team members, felt this earthquake.
Yeah. I just said that's a good question. I wonder if she also felt it. Yeah.
We should ping her about this. Oh well.
If there was a tsunami, Kel ADG says if there was a tsunami, it would have hit long ago, maybe 3 minutes after the shaking. Yes, usually, especially considering its proximity to land, you are correct. However, there's always a possibility. Earthquakes have multiple ways of creating tsunamis.
Yeah.
Obviously, the main way is the seafloor actually vertically uplifts. It actually rises suddenly. That usually comes in like mega thrusts, like big earthquakes, like past magnitude 8.0. But that's like the main way it causes tsunamis. It raises the seafloor and that displaces water. Now, the other ways that it can create a tsunami is through submarine landslides or coastal landslides. This definitely could have caused any of the two. It definitely could have caused a submarine landslide or a coastal landslide. But I do want to say, the point that I want to say is that it's possible that after the earthquake, a submarine landslide could still possibly happen because that sediment has been destabilized. So it's still possible that there could be a tsunami a little later. It is a possibility, but considering the fact that there hasn't been any reports of any waves so far, I would say hopefully Cuba is in the clear, but I wouldn't completely rule it out, especially considering the fact that electricity has not been restored fully in the entirety of Cuba, from what I remember hearing. So it's possible that any tsunami reports that do exist, we won't even be able to see until electricity is restored and people actually start reporting on it.
Yeah. And then the other thing is not just the sediment has been disturbed by this main shock spontaneously collapsing. It also be that there's a smaller aftershock that occurs that would ordinarily be way too small to cause an earthquake. Maybe like just a magnitude 5, but because the sediment is already destabilized by the main earthquake, that would be enough to sort of push it over the edge and cause that submarine landslide and cause the tsunami. But that is, I would say, probably a rather unlikely scenario, but nonetheless one that cannot be entirely ruled out at this time.
Exactly.
Anything new? Or
no. So far, no.
I'm
Very
spreading
difficult.
headlines.
Very difficult to get any sort of information out of Cuba at this time.
Yeah.
This is Disaster Central doing live coverage on monitoring these massive earthquakes. The massive earthquake that struck Cuba approximately an hour and 20 minutes ago. We do have reports now that shaking could have been felt all the way in Miami, as footage would suggest. Sorry about that. Just a crazy sequence of events today. We had a 5.9 near 6, like 2 hours ago, and now we have a 6.4. So it's crazy, to say the least. It's wild, but we're gonna keep coverage for you guys. Very clearly, there's demand for this. Apparently, from what I've seen when I was gone, we're the only people live for this event. So
Tammy Brown says we felt in Jamaica as well. That is a very interesting report. Thank you, Tammy.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. Looking at the shake map, Jamaica did receive, and like the entire island got shaking between MMI 4 to 5, which is, I believe, light to moderate shaking. So that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. But thank you, Tammy. That's a very interesting report.
I mean, what you said is certainly very true. We notice over and over again that these earthquake events that we're doing are the most popular ones on our channel. It's because lots of these earthquakes, especially ones that do not occur within the United States or whatever, don't get a lot of attention, unfortunately. And yeah, we are the only ones. That's not a report.
That's what we're here for.
There's currently another smaller aftershock ongoing, by the way. I can see it on the seismographs from.
There we go. Yeah, we're having a current aftershock now in Phil. You can see it on the seismograph on the stream that we have pulled up. A very reasonable sized aftershock being felt. Maybe could estimate a 2 point something. So
it seems we have many Jamaicans in the chat saying that they felt it. Thank you guys for your reports. We really appreciate you reporting about this. I actually find it super interesting.
Yeah, and for those who are watching, especially if you are in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, or in Haiti, or in the Dominican Republic, or in the Bahamas, just know that we do need these reports. And if you can, please report these to the USGS at USGS or at the MSC. That's probably the safest bet. But yes, for those who are watching in Jamaica.
Right here. Alexei Oduardo says in Spanish, but I understand it. Hay algunos derrumbes parciales acá en Manzanillo. I probably butchered that in Spanish, sorry, but translating it, he said there are some partial collapses in Manzanillo. I believe that's what it says.
Okay, so that's not good.
I don't understand Spanish very well, and also it's unconfirmed report, but that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever.
Mike, you are aware that translators are a thing, right?
I know. I usually don't use them for Spanish though, because I can kind of understand it.
Manzanillo. I think that's in Cuba.
Manzanillo got MMI 6, which is strong shaking, so that doesn't surprise me if they did.
We did get an unconfirmed report, and I'm just reading this on Twitter. An unconfirmed report. I just lost it on the feed, but an unconfirmed report that there was a partial building collapse in Cuba, or somewhere in Cuba. So we're potentially seeing a collapse. That's probably what we're going to end up seeing now in the coming hours. I think the worrying part about this whole thing was that a few weeks ago, Hurricane Oscar hit this area, and the area obviously has already been through a lot this hurricane season. Now they're being hit with this. It just sucks to see people go through it, especially after being constantly barraged with tropical cyclones.
I do want to, David, can you show images on your live stream?
As long as they're not copyrighted, sure.
All right. Look in the chat. I'm gonna send you some images if you want to pull them up. You can do so. But I looked it up, and yeah, in Manzanillo there were some roof collapses, some partial roof collapses, some debris on the streets. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. I would expect it.
Did you send them more? Okay.
Yeah, in the chat. Yeah.
Stand by, folks. I will be doing something. If I can try to pull it up.
Unfortunately, the aftershocks that we've been getting recently were all too small to be registered on the global quake because there are not enough stations in this area because Cuba isn't necessarily the most how do I put this? Most probably not even the problem being with prosperity. It's more with the problem being that they're not the most friendly country than most countries in the Western world, and most of the stations that many of the stations that Gold Creek relies on are USGS stations, and there are not a lot of them there.
Here are some images. Now I believe this is from what what are they called? I believe this is from Manzanillo. Yeah, so this is from Manzanillo, Cuba, and there is there you can see the building damage. There you can see on the top left. I think that's part of a roof that has collapsed.
Yeah.
That's part of the roof, and then on the right, or on the top right, you can see again, of course, pieces of brick. Because what you'll notice here in a lot of countries, like Mexico, like Cuba, like Jamaica, like in Colombia, like in Venezuela, you'll begin to notice similarities in how these buildings are built, and especially in more of the urbanized areas, you can see that more of the roofs are built with brick. Um, and while that does add more structural, I guess, integrity for other type of events, when it comes towards earthquakes, those tend to collapse because they're not necessarily strong enough to support themselves. Uh,
And yeah. And
And
the
of-
worst part about these brick buildings is not necessarily just that they collapse, is when they collapse, there's a lot of heavy weight on top of them, on top of
and we
people
have
who are
breaking
in
news.
them.
The USGS has updated their shake map to intense MMI 8. So
Okay.
That's very close to the epicenter, which is a good thing. That means that right next to the epicenter, any land right next to the epicenter basically got very severe shaking. But again, we don't expect anyone, we don't really think anyone lives there. Again, it's a sparsely populated mountain range. I don't think anybody really lives in that general vicinity. Maybe some people, but not a
Yeah,
huge population
there's some
center.
settlers there. Probably. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
nothing really marked on the USGS map. So we can assume that anything that is there is probably small villages.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, the one thing with the about mountain ranges is that you have the seismic waves usually doing some goofy things in those mountain ranges. If you look at the shake map, there are a lot of places within the mountain range that have like MMI 6 and others that have MMI 7. There are probably also areas within the mountain range that probably have close to MMI 8, relatively far from the epicenter, just because yeah, just a lot of complex geology there. Yeah.
I do want to say, Buster Scruggs in the chat says, my grandma's neighbor's house completely collapsed.
yeah, where is your grandma at? That's an interesting report too. That is a very concerning report. But
Oh, I have another image that if you want to pull up, I have another image that you can put. Right
where
here
and
in the chat.
oh my God. Okay, yeah, we're gonna show this. Can you save that image and upload it as like an actual file just for me? Because I'm not trying to open up other applications right now.
There you go.
I'm going through multiple areas right now. It's just copy link. I don't know.
By the way,
I guess I could show the browser source.
I hope your grandma's neighbors are okay. I hope they're not injured or anything.
Sorry, stand by. This is going to be a very awkward thing to set up, but here is one of the images here. You can see a person walking. That is a horrible sight to look at. And I think you can see, I think we can all agree that, at least, these earthquakes, we tend to, I guess, at least with sixes here, we're lucky to live in an area where, people will take, sixes for granted and be like, oh, it's just a 6, it's not anything major. But in other areas, especially in areas that just don't see earthquakes in general, these earthquakes are, and you can see here on the infrastructure alone. I think that what we're seeing right now is potentially a partial building collapse or a complete building collapse. I think because and you have to understand, at least because where I'm from, the buildings and the infrastructure, at least where I was from and where I came from, the infrastructure is these homes tend to be a lot crowded and small. So my worry right now is, and what I'm starting to wonder is, how many people, whether that was a first question, whether that was a complete building, or whether that was an actual complete building, or that was a partial building collapse, or if that was a lot where the wall just caved in and just collapsed in to that
I do want to
open lot.
say real quick. Never mind. It turns out that the image that you put is actually old. My bad. My bad. Again, it's very hard to verify sources. So if there are fake images, we do apologize. We don't purposefully try to put fake images to mislead audiences, but we also tend to fall for it sometimes, especially if we haven't seen it before. We fall for it. So again, apologies for any inconveniences. We're not completely perfect ourselves. And
You're
we're
fired.
sorry.
Now playing.
We are not. The bottom line is we're not the Associated Press or something. We don't double and triple and quadruple check and have like our own internal fact checking team of 20 people.
Just for those who are recapping, because again, we're seeing like huge amounts of people people coming in. Just want to quickly recap the events of so far the last 2 hours. We had a 5.9 earthquake strike Cuba, and then we had a 6.4. Really, estimates go 6.4 to 6.8, but on global quake we have a 6.4 earthquake that struck Cuba. So,
By the way, I just want to. Sorry, I just want to quickly interject the estimates that I just cited and the global quake have are not like the same. There are different scales that we can use for earthquake magnitudes, and the 6.8 is what we call a moment magnitude, which is a very complicated thing. I'm not going to explain right now. It's like I have to do a whole bunch of crazy calculations to make it. And global quake gives the earthquake in local magnitude. So it's not necessarily global quake is wrong. It's just it's a different magnitude. It's not the same measurement. In fact, global quake uses their own scale, which is most similar to what's called the MB scale, but it's not the same as the MB scale. So we don't really have a government agency estimate to like 100% verify the global quake estimate with, but the MB is again the closest one, and the USGS MB is 6.2. So the USGS is global quake is right in the correct ballpark with their estimate for this.
Please subscribe to our channel. Of course, we need y'all support. We need y'all support, especially now that we're beginning to get. First of all, if you live in America, if you're watching this from America, we're about to see the second uptick of tornado season, and cyclone season. The Western Pacific isn't done. Hurricane season isn't done, but
Southern Hemisphere, we will also try to cover some major storms there, because that's again another market that's another topic that's very underreported. So we'll try, if we have time and resources available, with the major cyclones in the Southern Hemisphere, especially Category 3 or higher, we will try to cover them.
And please share the stream out. We're trying to get as many people as we can possibly get to give this information out. So please feel free to share the stream out to as many people as you can. Back to this, because what we're seeing right now is, I wouldn't say historical, but historical in this region. The 6.4. We have no word of fatalities yet.
Well, I would not guarantee that we will ever get a precise number, because I don't know. Cuba is not a free country, and dictatorships tend to try and downplay such events with relative frequency. So even once we do get numbers from Cuba, I would take those with a grain of salt, as in they're probably on the lower end who actually die. The other component of this, of course, being that without wanting to, like, how do I say this without trying to belittle the Cuban government too much. This may also be the case, as it is in many developing countries, that they do not have even a complete record of who lives in especially more remote
Mike.
areas of their country. Not as
Yeah, I
much as the
gotcha.
United States, we
Okay.
have like a census that can tell you precisely how many people are even in the most rural parts of the country. And we saw this with the one example I can come up with is that landslide in Papua New Guinea that happened. So random, relatively random disaster, but I remember huge deadly landslide in Papua New Guinea, and it took. I'm not sure if there was ever a reliable fatality number from that. So it's a more extreme example.
By the way, in the coming hours and days, we will be we'll be doing more coverage, just whether it's video wise or just updating you guys on what we know so far on a stream or something like that. We'll be doing that, but just for now, um, you know, uh, crazy what we're seeing. It's I think it's insane what we've seen. I think Katie, Cuba hasn't seen something like this since 1947, but just in general, the Caribbean doesn't tend to see massive,
Massive earthquakes.
In
Yeah.
massive earthquakes.
In fact, I've looked up on the USGS database, and the last earthquake of, let me see, the last earthquake that was similarly close to Cuba coastline in this area was in 1947 probably. That was similarly close to Cuba, and that was the 6.6, which caused only shaking of 6 on the Mercalli scale, according to USGS, and this is now 8 on the Mercalli scale. So this is, for this region, I think it would be fair to say that it would be a historic earthquake. Although there was the, where was this? There was the, oh, okay. No, that does not count. Okay. Of course, the last earthquake of similar size in this area was the magnitude 7.7 that happened further west, probably along the same plate boundary near the Cayman Islands, which caused shaking of 6 according to the shake map, and may have actually caused a bit of stronger shaking, but mainly affected the Cayman Islands and had some Mercalli 6 across parts of southwestern Cuba, not necessarily this area, for that earthquake.
Yeah, and just of course, by the way, I just do want to quickly mention that in this chat, we respect all religions, but this is just we only speak facts.
We try to speak facts, and also spamming stuff is not very. It's just not nice. It's just not respectful, and we could potentially miss something that's actually important and relevant to the earthquake. So please, anything that has to do with religion, like spamming religious stuff, or anything like spamming, I don't know.
Spamming in general.
Spamming in general. Just spamming in general. Please don't. We're gonna time you. We're gonna time you out. We're gonna time you out if you do that. We try to just. We want to read the chat too, so.
We just need We're just trying to answer as many questions as we can, and we could just, we're just not trying to deal with a situation where, all that we're reading is just spam, and we just need to give out information to those who are asking for it, because we won't be able to read everybody's chat with the spam on. So just understand where we're coming from, just through a broadcasting and just through a reporting perspective. So yeah, but if anybody has any questions just about earthquakes in general, are we offended? No, it's not that we're offended. It's that we have over 1,000 members watching, over 1,000 people watching, over 1,000 people who are genuinely interested and just or are concerned about this or just need information about this watching. And when we're trying to provide information, when people are asking questions, we just don't appreciate spam being all over the chat. So it's not that we're offended. And to be honest, we don't care about, it's not that we don't care about your religion. We respect it, but we need it through reporting and just broadcasting perspective, just to keep it calm.
I think not to spam should be a pretty reasonable and basic requirement for the chat in general.
Also, I do want to point out for anyone interested in the program that we're using on screen right now, it is called GlobalQuake. It is a earthquake detection software. It actually provides real-time earthquake alerts for any earthquake that happens throughout the world. Sometimes they can be a little bit late, but usually in an area with a lot of seismometers, like in the U.S., earthquake updates and earthquake notifications, they happen really quickly, and they tell you when an earthquake is happening basically instantly. So if you want to download the program, just look up Global Quake, and just download it. And if you're interested in any earthquake related stuff, or if you live in an earthquake related area, I would highly recommend downloading this program.
There's unconfirmed reports that building collapses are now beginning, we're getting first instances now. Building collapses are being reported practically in multiple areas. Now we're not saying, the report isn't necessarily specific on what type of, how many building collapses or whether or not it's everywhere. But we're just getting, I would assume that it's not, just given the fact that from previous reporting, as well as some reporting of our viewers, that has only been partial, and it's only been in very certain areas that we have seen partial collapses of structures. So just that's something to just keep an eye on. Partial building collapses are being reported in multiple areas.
I want to quickly add to the spamming thing. No spamming, particularly religion and politics. Also politics.
No politics.
I became a little bit political earlier, but I tried to not become too political. I talked about, countries like Cuba not reporting fatalities reliably, which is a fact. It's not an opinion. It just happens. I mean, we're siding with Puerto Rico, which is a U.S. territory, when the Hurricane 2017 struck, that came out later that the fatality number was in the thousands and not in the hundreds. So,
let me just quickly answer a few questions. Justin Hills asks, "What is the deepest earthquake recorded on Earth?" I don't. I think it was
that was an earthquake in Bolivia in like the 80s or 90s. It was like 500 or 600 kilometers deep, and the shaking was felt very, very widespread. But yeah. Also, I do want to point out, where was it? Once Upon a Tide says, here in west of Puerto Rico, I felt a low whoosh feeling, and a headache is still happening. I would say it is potentially possible for you to have felt something in West Puerto Rico. I have to pull up the shake map again, but I believe maybe you could have been able to feel something in West Puerto Rico. Actually, maybe it's possible. The thing with USGS shake maps is they're not entirely super accurate all the time. They're accurate close to the epicenter, but when you get far away from the epicenter, they're not entirely accurate. Could you have felt it in West Puerto Rico? Maybe, but it would be harder for you to feel it in Puerto Rico because it's quite a bit away. But if you live in areas like Jamaica, West Haiti, even maybe the Cayman Islands a little bit, we do know that shaking was reported in Miami, and Miami's not involved in the shake map whatsoever. Nothing's shown for Miami, so it's very possible. If Miami felt some shaking, it's possible Puerto Rico felt some shaking.
I have done a little bit of research, as you mentioned that, and I have seen I've looked at the U.S. The EMSC, European Mediterranean Seismic Center. I looked at the shake map. Did you feel it first? And there was no did you feel it report from Puerto Rico. However, on the MSC, there is a report from Guanica in western Cuba. So unless you are actually the person who's submitted a report to EMSC, I'll be the only person. Of course, you could just be that person, in which case.
Also, I do want to say, someone asked, are shallow quakes good or bad? That's Randy, yes. Shallow quakes are pretty much always bad. If they're on land, they're always bad. Even off the coast, they're pretty bad, because shallow quakes, if they're on land, or if they're close to land, shallow quakes, obviously the shallower the quake is, the more violent the earthquake is, the intensity of the shaking. Very shallow earthquakes can be very particularly devastating to regions. The only good thing about shallow quakes is that because it's shallow, the immediate area around the epicenter the shaking is very violent, but farther away, shallow quakes do not tend to be felt further away. The further away you go from a shallower quake, the harder it is to feel it, and that's just because the shallower the quake is, the more energy is focused immediately on on the ground on top of the epicenter, if that makes sense. So
we just had an aftershock.
Shallow quakes tend to not be felt further away. But also for tsunamis, yes, shallower quakes are usually bad for tsunamis too.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Hassan. Usually what cause tsunamis.
Sorry, go ahead, Hassan.
Yeah, I was gonna say that shallow earthquakes cause more tsunamis if you look at the statistics. But yeah, Mike mentioned it, so
yeah. Again, shallow quakes. The way earthquakes cause tsunamis, usually I already said it, but I can say it again. Usually it's vertical offset. The earthquake pushes the seafloor vertically and upwards, and that displaces water. That can be a way that creates a tsunami. The other ways are coastal landslides that hit the water and displace water also, and then submarine landslides that happen underwater that also displaces water and pushes water outwards. Yeah. And that can create tsunamis too.
By the way, I just want to quickly point out. Hold on, sorry. I just want to quickly point out that these two guys, Hassan and Mike, they're probably the best earthquake knowledgers in the team. I'm more of a hurricane and severe weather type of guy.
Same. I know some stuff about earthquakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I'm the one hosting the stream. So
far, I just wanted to say, so far we haven't seen any reports of any tsunamis from this.
Yeah, and it is highly unlikely, although not completely impossible, that we could get a later tsunami due to underwater landslide because the sediment has been weakened somewhere on the seafloor.
Yeah.
Could be triggered by an aftershock. That is possible, but unlikely at this time. Similarly, very unlikely that there was a tsunami. That just simply was not reported yet because Puerto Rico is a closed-off country. Though you would assume, because tsunami is not spread into one. What did I say?
Puerto Rico.
I said Puerto Rico. Okay, I meant Cuba. Although you would assume, because tsunami does not usually spread out just in one direction, that if there was one, by this time we would have heard reports of some water level changes in places like Jamaica or Hispaniola. So you can probably rule that out by this point.
Sorry, I'm just trying to
because usually people don't really care. The news doesn't really care about earthquakes until they're super devastating or super deadly, one of the two. It probably will be featured on the news later, but as of right now, especially since very few reports are coming out, it probably will not be shown.
Be featured in the news, specifically in the Caribbean area, I would assume. But it would probably be the kind of thing that's like in the evening news, at like the end of the evening news, when it's like a rundown of like minor events that happens. Probably like a 15 to 30 minute segment, a 30 second segment about his earthquake, if that, in the Caribbean region. But if you're, for instance, in Great Britain.
Randy asks, can a tsunami happen in the Gulf of Mexico? And also, R22 Fly asks, how far from this was Guantanamo Bay? So let me just answer Randy's question first.
Guantanamo Bay, I'm sorry. I will answer the question. Guantanamo Bay. I'm sorry. That is pretty close-ish to the epicenter. According to the shake map, they got like MMI 4, which is light shaking. So the inmates in Guantanamo Bay probably did feel some shaking, honestly.
And as for
Yes.
tsunami in the Gulf of Mexico specifically, no, not really. If there was any, I mean, there has not been any tsunami yet at all. If there will be any tsunami from an underwater landslide, it would probably, due to the location of the earthquake, be blocked entirely by Cuba before ever reaching anywhere near the Gulf of Mexico. And this will not trigger an underwater landslide.
But the question was asking like if it's
In general,
hypothetically possible for a.
in general, hypothetically, yes, there are. It could be possible. Hypothetically, yeah.
Yeah, there are
Mm.
some scenarios in which that could happen, but the general answer is no, not really.
Unlikely.
Keep asking your questions.
25. Kish 25 says it was felt 3 times in Ocho Rios, Saint, and Jamaica.
3
That-
times, so that probably suggests that
And-
aftershocks have already happened.
Yeah. Thank you for your report. That's interesting. Is Cuba reporting major damage and deaths? So far, we've seen minor damage. Honestly, some roof collapse, some roof damage, some fallen debris, a little bit of fallen debris, not too much. No major building collapses so far, but again, the electricity is out for most of Cuba because of the hurricane, and information is getting out very, very hard. It's very hard to get information out at this time.
It's hard to get raw information out of Cuba the best of times because again, I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over again, but it's like it's not a free country, it's not a democracy. People there do they have full access to the internet? I don't even know, but I think they do. But currently, they don't have full access to electricity, so that's an impediment there. But yeah.
Alfredo de la Sierra says, "Hi, my family told me they feel very strong shaking, but no major damage. They live in the area. We're glad that your family is safe, Alfredo. Yeah, it's possible that there isn't like widespread devastation from this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect that, but certainly there could be some instances of collapsed buildings and stuff in specific areas, and yeah, that's probably what happened.
And as I said earlier, because of the complex terrain of the area, it is very possible that you have one village or one town that is relatively close to the epicenter that does not have any significant damage, but just a dozen kilometers away or so, there's a different town, another part of the mountains that gets partial or complete building collapses because, again, within these mountainous regions, the seismic waves tend to be deflected and like absorbed in very strange ways by the
Dad working out asks, "Is a tsunami possible?" So he said the tsunami happening. It has not been reported yet. It probably would have happened by now if because it's so close to land. It probably would have happened by now. Information is getting out very scarcely in Cuba because of the power outages from the hurricane. But still, we would have expected some sort of word from sleep. We would expect someone to say there were sea level fluctuations or some sort of waves reported. And also, even excluding Cuba, there are tidal gauges around the Caribbean that probably would have detected some sort of sea level fluctuation by now. So, considering the fact that we haven't received reports of anything, safe to say that there hasn't been a tsunami. Now, that doesn't mean that a tsunami can't happen. It could still very well happen from something like a submarine landslide where the sediment is destabilized, and then suddenly it goes in one huge landslide underwater, and that could still create a tsunami later, which would be particularly bad because people probably aren't expecting it to happen after. It happens way after the earthquake, so people aren't expecting it. But my advisory, I would say if you live in the general vicinity, I would say don't be on the beach. That's what I would say. I would say don't be on the beach. That's what I would say.
Because again, as we said earlier, we repeat it again. While we don't want to in any way imply that it is likely, it is certainly within the realms of possibility that there could be another large earthquake following this earthquake, potentially even a larger earthquake, though this is already on the upper end of earthquakes in the region. But it cannot be entirely ruled out that this is a foreshock or an earthquake that precedes an even larger earthquake within the sequence, or that there is just another major aftershock of over magnitude 6. So, and that could then trigger either a tsunami of its own or indirectly trigger a tsunami because of an underwater landslide. Again, unsettling sediment at the seafloor has already been disturbed by this earthquake and the foreshock that happened, the 5.9, 5.8. So just don't be at the beach.
I do also want to say I did a little bit of digging. Although the article I'm looking at right now says 7.6, the actual Wikipedia article says 6.8. But the area tends to have quite a bit of like upper 6s to maybe low 7s. And so, like this article says 7.6 in the same region, and that hasn't created a tsunami. So I don't know. Looking at the historical earthquakes that have happened, there doesn't seem to be many reports of a tsunami happening, and that makes sense because I looked it up, and the fault zone that it happens on is a strike slip, and strike slips tend to not cause tsunamis. They very rarely cause any form of tsunamis. Now that doesn't mean that they can't happen. One example of a strike slip causing a tsunami was Palu in Indonesia, 2018. Palu city got hit with a 7.5. It was a strike slip, but it was particularly violent, and people still evacuated. But they weren't expecting like any big tsunami. And the government itself wasn't expecting any big tsunami. But unfortunately, due to a combination of factors such as the geography of the area and the coastal and submarine landslides, I believe too, it culminated in a tsunami hitting the city. And people were not really expecting. The government wasn't really expecting it, but it hit and it killed quite a few people, quite a few thousand people. So, strike slips can cause tsunamis, but it isn't a given. It isn't a given.
We're gonna go take a quick break. These folks have been live for about an hour and about 80 something minutes. We're gonna take a quick 5-minute break. We will be right back after this. Just stand by for something I'll find to play. I don't know what to output. Just want to give our biggest, and again, just stay here. We'll be right back. It'll be like a quick 3-minute or 2-minute break, something like that. Yeah, just give me a quick minute trying to find the. Okay. All right. We'll be right back. Stand by. Uh, we're back, and this is Disaster Central live coverage. We're back for more coverage on the Cuba earthquake. Of course, my name is David Vela, here located at Disaster Central headquarters in Houston, Texas, joined by Mike, Felix, and Hassan from multiple areas. Mike from Ohio, Hassan from Turkey right now, or in the Netherlands?
Belgium.
Belgium, okay. Belgium, and Felix in Germany. I think we all know Felix if you've watched the channel for a long time. We all know Mike if you've watched a long time. Hassan has been here for a while. He just has been working behind the scenes. So, how are we doing, folks?
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Well, yeah,
All
we
right.
haven't had a earthquake in a long time. Actually, with a decent size. So this is ending the quake drought, I'd say. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. A foreshock, of what, a magnitude 5.9,
5.9, yeah.
and a main shock of 6.8. So it's definitely interesting to see that. Yeah.
There's been a lull. There's been a lull in earthquake activity, and like Hassan said, there's been a lull in earthquake activity. There hasn't been a big earthquake in quite
Months.
several weeks. Yeah. So
I just want to quickly just tell the viewers right now, viewers, if you're watching, we have 1,000 of you here. We're going to be spending the next hour just discussing, answering your questions. So don't be afraid to ask your questions on the live chat. We'll be here to read them and answer them. Yeah, this next hour will be dedicated towards just exclusively answering your questions. And if more information comes out, which one of the biggest problems that we have seen with this stream is that we just haven't been able to get more information, and we just wish we could, but we just cannot provide any information right now. So just answer some questions. Cubano asks, is there a way to know if there will be more in the same area? Which also kind of falls in towards Marcia's question, if there is more to be expected.
So, I said this before earlier in the live stream. There is no certain way to know if there's more coming. It's possible. This could be. This 6.8 could also be a foreshock to a much bigger earthquake into the 7 range. However, we don't know if that's the case until it actually happens. So there's no way of knowing beforehand whether it will be leading to a bigger earthquake. We can hypothesize, but we can't say for sure.
And I should answer both of those questions. Next question coming in from Mary B, who asks, "Where will there be a tsunami?" And to answer that question, I think we've answered it multiple times this stream, but to answer that question again, the answer will be no. We do not expect a tsunami to happen out of this, because if there was a tsunami to have come out of this, this would have already been felt. We would have already seen it on the stations. It would have already hit land. So,
though, as I said earlier, while it's not expected and highly unlikely, there are certain low probability scenarios which could still cause a tsunami from this earthquake later on, but that is not something that is expected to happen at all.
So I do want to say, okay, Ebok98 asks, when was the last time Cuba saw an earthquake of this magnitude? That was in 1947 in the general region. In the region of the Caribbean entirely, it was 2020 was the last big earthquake.
no, I thought it was 2021 with the one in Haiti.
Oh yeah, no, my bad. Yeah, Haiti. Oh yeah, you're right. The last one in the Western Caribbean was 7.7. The 2021.
That was also the last one that was felt. Last major big earthquake was felt in this part of Cuba.
Yeah. there are reports stating 2 earthquakes. Yeah, one was a foreshock. This is the main shock. The foreshock was a 5.9. The main shock now was a 6.8. Is it near Guantanamo Bay? What was the Navy doing? So I've seen quite a bit of comments from this chat from a few people who say, both in English and Spanish, that say that these were nuclear tests. Folks, I'm gonna be real honest with you guys right now. The power of the Earth itself does not even come close to what we have as the most powerful nuclear
the other way
bomb.
around. The other way around. The powerful nuclear bomb does not come close to the power of the Earth.
Yeah.
Which is to say that this earthquake is too big to be caused by
Earthquakes in general are too huge to compare in power to nuclear bombs. They're too big.
Yeah.
A 6.8, and it's not something that would be hard to distinguish from an earthquake either. If there was a nuclear test, we would obviously see. First of all, if it was underwater, there would be a tsunami because that would displace massive amounts of water. Secondly, if it was above water, in like even underwater too, there would still be a major shock wave that would destroy buildings and kill people, and there would be massive devastation if there was a nuclear bomb. And if you're gonna go the route and say that it's underground, it's not. It can't be underground because we do not have the There's no facility in Cuba that tests nukes.
Well, actually, there's just one argument just to destroy this entire debate, whether it's nuclear or not. The strongest nuclear bomb, which was the Tsar Bomba, which was I think dropped in 1960 something.
Yeah.
That didn't even register as 6.5. I think it registered at 6.3, 6.1. So. And this earthquake has ranges of a 6.4 to a 6.8. So it's practically almost like... It's almost impossible that this can be a nuclear bomb unless for whatever reason we have a weapon that is so powerful that it could practically destroy an entire continent from an earthquake. So no, I do not think that... we do not think that. No, we don't. I mean, it's not that we don't think. We know that this is not nuclear underground testing.
And those have been seen before on seismographs, and those could be distinguished very easily from an actual earthquake by the scientists at the USGS and other agencies, which they have determined this is a strike slip earthquake with a depth of, what did they say? A depth of a depth of 14 kilometers. So, and neither of those would be shown by the USGS and analyzed if this was an actual nuclear explosion, because then it would be probably much shallower, be correctly determined to be like, usually those have like a depth of 0 kilometers when they show up.
And I do want to say, anyone who said, like, asking if this was a nuclear explosion or whatever, that's fine. You can ask that. But people who are saying it's a nuclear bomb or something, if you guys keep like spamming it, we're gonna time you out. Sorry, but it's annoying, to be fair, because you're misleading people. It's not a nuclear explosion, and you have no definitive proof that it was, and so you'll just be timed out if you continue to say it. So yeah, just to let you guys know.
We have had, by the way, we have had over 15 aftershocks below a magnitude like 4 already in the last hour and 30 minutes that we've been live. So
and that's again not a thing that would happen at all if this was a nuclear explosion. Nuclear explosions do not cause aftershocks, do not cause further earthquakes that happen after them. There's no bomb that, or at least that's not something that has been documented at all, and I don't think it's possible.
Since we're covering this earthquake, I want to talk about the history and the possible largest magnitude of this fault. If you look at the history, of course, the 2020 quake in Haiti, which occurred on the same fault.
2021.
Which was very destructive. In 2021, sorry. You have that quake, but if you look deeper in history, you can see in 1766 there was a 6.8 earthquake, followed by a 7.5 main shock. On the same quake, actually on the same spot. At the time, there were over 40 people got killed, unfortunately. And then you have also the 1842 Haiti earthquake, which was 8.1 on the MS scale, which is also on the same fault but just further east. So yeah, it's nice to know that this fault is capable of some more larger quakes. And if you look at like the history in terms of thousands of years, you can see traces of tsunamis of 3 meters in Haiti and Cuba. So it's nice to know that these regions can be vulnerable for tsunamis. Although this quake won't necessarily invoke a tsunami.
One. Yeah. Because because again, this happened on a fault line that's a strike slip, and strike slips do not usually cause tsunamis super easily.
Yeah.
They can, but it's not a given.
And because strike slip is the predominant component, so you can sometimes have a strike slip earthquake where the movement is more complex and it does have like a thrust component to it where it does is mainly like horizontal movement, but also
Yeah.
some vertical movement. But that's usually not enough vertical movement to cause a major tsunami directly by the earthquake. Of course, underwater landslides is always an option, but so far it hasn't happened, and the possibility of it happening is fairly low in the future.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't understand what a strike slip is, it's when both sides of the ground move past each other in opposite directions.
Yeah.
That's what a strike slip is.
And thrust, the other thing you brought up is when one of the two. And we,
Oh, 4.9. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
4.9. Yes. Yeah. Soul quake. Yeah. That
Yeah.
earthquake is not in the correct spot.
Right now, or
Yes, right now.
okay.
That's the biggest aftershock so
Wait,
far.
what
that
magnitude?
I'm aware of.
I'm only seeing 4.3.
Oh, I'm seeing
It says
preliminary
4.9
4.9.
on my side.
Oh yeah, it depends on the global quake, of course.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's only because of that, because of the few seismometers in the area.
Yeah.
It's probably in that
3.8
area.
3.8 on the global quake stream, which they have the newest version of global quake, which is not an internal version at this point. So, but just because it was picked up on global quake while most of the other earthquakes so far were not, I think it's still fair to say this is the most significant aftershock we have had thus far, because most of the other aftershocks did trigger the seismographs, but were not picked up by the software because it was just too few that were activated. So yeah.
Somebody asked if this fault ran through Jamaica. This is not a fault that runs through Jamaica. It's parallel to it. There is another fault named the Walton Fault Zone and wait, let me see, Enriquillo Plant and Garden Fault Zone.
Yeah.
And if you look at the biggest magnitude of those faults, of course, you have the 2021 Haiti earthquake, which occurred on this fault, 7.2. The 2010, as you mentioned, also a big one, also 7.2. But you have bigger ones like 7.5, 7.6, also on that fault, but these were not in Jamaica, except one. And you also
Sorry, I just want to quickly want to. I find this I find this comment quite funny. I find it quite funny. Someone said that Dutch Sins is better. Hey, you know what, people? You guys are inclined to your opinion. I just want to quickly point out that Disaster Central here, we're the only ones that are alive for this earthquake. So I don't know if that's whether or not it's because we're factually more faster than him, or of course we respect Dutch Sins here. We have nothing against him, but we're the first ones live. We're the only ones live in this earthquake. So if that's a reason, I think the reason is, and what I'm trying to say is, we're the faster ones here. We're the fastest ones to be here. We're fastest ones to be here. So I think here at Disaster Central we just work a bit faster. I'm still expecting Dutch to go live, but here at Disaster Central we're
Yeah,
gonna keep
but
going live until.
yeah, but to be fair, he's irrelevant. Anyways, Marcia Adulter asks, "Is Jamaica?" Yeah, Hassan answered that. I did want to also add on to that. Jamaica has an earthquake risk. Believe it or not, there is a risk of big earthquakes in Jamaica. And I'm gonna pull that up right now. There was an earthquake. There have been earthquakes before in places like Kingston, I believe. Kingston, yes. Or I'm sorry, Port Royal. So in 1692, there was a 7.5 earthquake that happened in eastern Jamaica that caused 5,000 casualties and a tsunami. And so Jamaica does have a big earthquake risk, and since it has been hundreds of years since a huge earthquake in Jamaica, it is possible for there to be another big earthquake and even a tsunami that happens, and that would probably be the worst case. The worst case scenario will probably be around a similar magnitude, 7 to 7.5. That would also be really, really bad.
Colin,
So
to answer your question, the main shock is a 6.1.
Hmm.
The main shock is a 6.1. The one that we're seeing right now is a 4.9. This is an aftershock, so.
In fact, it even says estimates of current deformation of Jamaica suggest that sufficient strain has accumulated to generate a magnitude of between 7 to 7.3 of an earthquake for an earthquake, similar in size to the 1692 event. This may mean that a repeat of this event is imminent, although this estimate relies on many assumptions, such as that none of the motion on the Plantain Garden Fault is accommodated by aseismic creep. So it is a possibility that Jamaica can have another big earthquake soon, possibly. It is. I would say if you live in the area, just know that the risk exists, and have some way to respond to that. Make sure you know what to do in that, and if an earthquake happens and a tsunami warning is issued, make sure to know what to do in that situation. That's what I would say.
Sorry, I'm just quickly changing production. Sorry, or not changing headlines for graphics. Keep asking your questions.
Esther Saldana says, "Stop clearing your nose. You have a cold. Don't broadcast." Cope. Anyways.
Oh.
So who else? Someone asked the depth. The depth, yeah, 14 kilometers. What was that like? What was that again in miles?
14 kilometers.
8.7 miles.
Yeah.
So the depth is 14 kilometers or 8.7 miles. How far is this from Lake Toba in Indonesia? It is quite literally on the opposite side of the world. This will have absolutely no effect on Lake Toba.
I know you've been asking. By the way, for that person about the Lake Toba question, I know you've been asking this for a while, but sorry that we won't be able to get to that. But yeah, that's the answer to your question. Folks, we're trying to work with everything we can possibly work with. So if we're pretty slow on this or pretty slow on talking, just apologies.
Buster Shrugs says
family in Cuba.
Yeah, family in Cuba is saying the ocean in Pilon, Cuba, has receded potentially due to an incoming tsunami. I'm guessing they are panicking, so take it with a grain of salt. It is possible that if a tsunami already happened.
Oh, big aftershock! Big aftershock!
Oh.
Another one. Seismographs. The seismographs on my end are going a bit wild.
So if a tsunami already happened,
it's on the stream.
The reports of it probably would be coming out later. So right about now, it would make sense. It probably, like I said, if a tsunami happened, it probably already happened a long time ago, like just after the earthquake.
And that's France now, mine.
It's possible.
That Wrong Mermaid said, are there more earthquakes happening in the last 5 to 10 years? Actually, no, because like in the last 3-4 years, there has not been a single magnitude 8 or bigger earthquake, which is not abnormal, but it means that there's like a lack of
Oh,
earthquake.
There it is,
there's
5.1. That is a big
Ooh,
quake.
okay.
There we go.
5.1 aftershock.
Yeah, that one may actually be. What does the stream say? Stream says 4.2 is what the global quake on the stream says. So
The bot says
yeah,
4.5,
4.2.
4.6.
David,
Yeah.
one of the commenters said that.
Yeah, I'm
someone's
working
too
on that
loud
right
and
now.
might
I
cut.
just saw that.
Okay, all right.
Well, what?
Apologies for
Yeah.
the microphone difficulties. We're working on that right now. Sorry about that. That is a big earthquake there. 5.0 preliminary. I think that is the biggest one of the biggest aftershock so far.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Aileen Marquez Green says, "Hi, I'm from Cuba. I don't live there, but my family does. Could it be another one? My family lives in the region where it happened. It is possible for another earthquake to happen after this. It is possible, an even bigger one. My advisory would be to tell your family to just stay. I would tell them to stay outside and just be prepared. That's what I would tell them. It's possible, but we don't know for sure. It's not a given."
we just caught it live, folks. We just caught 2 earthquakes live. 2 decent sized ones at least.
Flo also asked if there will be a stronger quake. Again, we can't say for sure. It is possible, but we can't. Again, we just can't say for sure. We don't know whether one will happen until it actually happens. We can't predict it. We can't predict them.
Is this better, by the way, chat? Is the audio better, or does it sound better, or no? It's not. I think it's coming from my end. Hassan.
It was. Yeah, it is.
It's
yeah.
coming from my end. I think it's coming. It's because of the settings that I put in on
Okay.
OBS. So just folks, please tell me if we sound much more better or if we sound more consistent with each other.
By the way, yes, I can confirm it's better.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. There
But
you go.
yeah,
I think that those were coming in from my
aftershock.
those were coming in from the settings that I had put in back. These are the same settings that I had about like a year and a half ago. So but finally, thanks for pointing that out. I needed to change that anyway. I just forgot to.
So where you are, earthquake and tsunami not gonna come there. Are you talking about where who is where we the people in the live stream are, or are you talking about somebody else? Because we don't live near Cuba, unless you're talking to somebody else. What time
K-pop
did it
lover.
strike?
Okay, so I have that information on my notes. The earthquake struck at around about 11, or not 11, about 10:40 in the morning. It's about to be about 2 hours since we last got that big earthquake, and Roman joined in. Welcome, Roman. He's from El Paso. He's one of our better knowledgeable earthquake people, I think. So the earthquake struck at around, the big earthquake struck at least at around 10:50 in the morning
This
here
earthquake
Central
was
Standard Time,
reported.
or around 11:50 a.m. Central Standard Time, or Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
Wait, is it my internet or?
No, it's not.
No.
Well,
What was
okay.
the question, Roman?
The question was, what is the farthest report of the
Oh,
earthquake being?
okay.
Tampa.
Probably Miami.
Tampa, yeah.
Or Tampa.
Oh, that's. I was gonna point that out because okay, this is super. There's no like source for this. There's no like real evidence for this, but a friend of a friend right now is in Tampa for Veterans Day, and he says he felt it because he's at one of the top floors of one of the buildings is in Tampa, and he thought he felt light swaying.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
Actually,
Yeah.
there's a did you feel it report from Orlando.
What?
okay.
So take that with a grain of salt too, but maybe? Question mark. It's possible if they're in a very tall building.
Yeah, a friend of mine also said, I felt a slight jolt up in northern Tampa, so I can confirm. Very interesting.
Okay, bro. Lily beans. I don't know what you're yapping about by magma chambers, but that's literally irrelevant. So. Do you think there will be a stronger quake? Again, it's possible. We don't know. We don't know until it will happen. We can't predict earthquakes. At
Yeah,
least we
the
can
best
predict
thing.
them accurately. We can say, oh, there's going to be an earthquake happening in their world right now, and yeah, of course there will be, because earthquakes happen all the time around the world, but we can't predict accurately. We just can't predict them accurately.
The only thing you can do is like search for patterns, like what geologists do. They look at the soil and see like tsunami deposits, and with that they can tell about like they can take the average of how long a earthquake takes to hit for a certain magnitude. That's what they did for San Andreas, for example, or Cascadia, and yet they can tell an earthquake's overdue, but like exactly forecasting, that's not possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all up in the air. It kind of always is.
I'm in Central Florida. I didn't feel anything. So, in these kinds of earthquakes, the only way you would feel something is if you're in a tall building. I don't know the exact science behind it, but if you're in a taller building and you're further away, the chances of you feeling the earthquake is higher.
Yeah, it's basically like
I feel
the
inclined.
frequency of the building.
I feel inclined to say it's due to long period motion, but I'm not sure.
Actually, yeah,
Mhm.
it is. It is mainly long period motion.
Yeah.
It might actually have something to do with like possibly something with levers, because as you are like higher up in the building, the sort of swaying will probably be
Amplify.
more
Yeah, exactly.
amplified. So
Lily, Lily,
different
but
moving
this
around.
earthquake in Cuba is not going to affect anything in like Indonesia. Okay, that's just not how it works. I'm going to be super honest with you. That's not how anything works. Daryl W. Hughes asks, tsunami warning? Right now, no. There hasn't. I don't even think when it happened there was a tsunami warning. Even immediately after it happened, I don't even think they issued a tsunami warning.
It's because the
Immediately
water
after.
is right there is too shallow.
Well, yeah, I guess, but Hassan said that there have been historical earthquakes that have caused tsunamis. I think the main reason why there hasn't been a tsunami is just because this is a strike slip, and strike slips don't usually cause tsunamis.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this fault runs perpendicular for thrust faults, I assume. I'm not sure. Maybe that has to do with something with it, but yeah, as you said multiple times in the stream,
Felix, I don't know if you
strike
saw the
slips.
I don't know if you saw the comment by Flo, but I think we found someone. Flo, by the way, our contributor Felix is from Germany as well. So
Yes. That's one
um,
from Germany.
yeah,
Shout out to my fellow German.
folks, if we're
wow.
quiet right
Okay.
now, it's because we don't have any information to be able to report on,
Yeah.
which is what sucks about having earthquakes in this region of the or this part of the area, because information will never come out on time. It will never come out quick. So just apologies
Okay.
for that.
So as I was saying about tsunami, this fault, but like the more eastern part, where is it? At Haiti in 1942, caused a tsunami of a maximum height of 4.6 meters. That was like the maximum, but like at more urban areas, it was like 2 meters, 3.1 meters, still high. But yeah, this earthquake was also like 8.1, so it's more common. if a big earthquake causes a tsunami that strikes the fault.
So, Chrissy, you asked, so will this big earthquake be coming to Jamaica soon that you were speaking about? Again, we can't predict earthquakes accurately. It could happen. It is possible that it could happen soon. It is possible. Again, what I would advise anyone who lives in Jamaica, particularly the eastern part of Jamaica, I would advise that you just have a plan in place to respond to an earthquake if one suddenly starts to happen, and a plan in case a tsunami warning is issued to evacuate the higher ground. That's all I can tell you. And the most I can, like, another good bit of information I can tell you is to have a like a bag in place, like a preparation bag. I don't know what they're called, where you have basic medical aid, first aid, and water, canned food, all that stuff to just prepare for the aftermath of the earthquake. That's what I can tell you. Marco Becker asks, please update. We haven't had any big pieces of information coming out.
One thing we could do before new questions are coming in is to run down the basic facts of this earthquake. It was a moment magnitude 6.8. Again, global quake magnitude was 6.4, I believe. Which is a different magnitude scale. Doesn't mean the global quake measurement is wrong. It's just they're different scales for earthquake magnitude, and that's not comparable. These two numbers are. So it was magnitude 6.8, which was preceded by a magnitude, what was it, 5.9, right?
Yeah, force
Force
shock.
shock.
Yeah.
Magnitude 6.8 main shock caused shaking of Mercalli 8, according to the United States Geological Survey, which is involved with the well-built houses and can cause less well-built structures to collapse. The shaking would have been very irregular across the area closest to the
I think the
epicenter
station
because
died.
of the complex terrain.
What station?
The station closest to the epicenter died.
Really?
The feed has been getting slower and slower and slower.
No, I think it's just behind the light of the station.
Could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just came in. The station is still good. So yeah.
Is there any damage of a tsunami hitting Miami? No. I can confirm. I can basically guarantee that there will not be a tsunami hitting Miami.
Yeah.
When was this?
2 hours ago.
Exact time.
Like
2
2
okay.
hours.
2 hours ago.
10:50 in the morning Central Standard Time, which is about like 11:50 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. By the way, just for those who don't know what we do, we pretty much all we do is we don't just do earthquakes, although most of our more popular streams are earthquakes because there's just it's an untapped market. We do hurricanes, we do severe weather. Hurricanes will be international when we do hurricanes. They're international. It'll be severe weather. Space. We've done a few space streams before. Our most popular YouTube short, which is video, was a space short. So, but yeah, we try to do as many as we can. We also try to do breaking news, like we did election day coverage, which was pretty interesting. So yeah, we try to do everything that we can do, but we do it on a quicker and more fast-paced things or fast-paced manner, just to give you the quickest and fastest possible information. So if you like that, then don't be afraid to subscribe. Like the video, share it to as many people as you can. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just.
Oh. Oh, okay. Here, David, you could put this up on the stream. These are images of damage to like roads and buildings like huge cracks in Manzanillo.
All
That's
right.
quite crazy damage, honestly.
Which one is this? Where is my picture? There you go. Sorry, I'm trying to put up that graphic for you, folks. Sorry. And
Actually, quite a bit of damage in Manzanillo.
there it is. This is from, I think this is from Libertador, Cuba. These are pictures from Manzanillo. Showing damage, cracks on walls, cracks on floors, etc., etc. And yeah, that's what we're showing.
Oh, thank you,
Oh,
Daryl
thank you
W.
so
Hughes.
much,
Thank you
Daryl.
so much.
Wow.
Thank you
Five
so much for the $5
$5 donation.
donation.
Thank you. You are our second
Yeah.
person to have donated, so that's ever in
Yeah.
this channel. So thank you.
We really
Much
appreciate
appreciated.
your contribution.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Put some dubs in the chat. That is amazing. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it. You know, we obviously we've been doing this for free. We want to get it to a point where we can do it, getting paid as well. You know, being able to provide these team members money. So hopefully we can. Hopefully, you're contributing. You're helping us get closer to our goal of, being able to get bigger. Just in general. So thank you so much for that.
I have an unrelated question. Can you hear me typing on the stream or anywhere else? I hope not, because I have noise suppression enabled. But
I haven't heard anything from. I
Okay,
haven't
that's
even
good.
heard you.
Yeah.
I haven't even heard you typing in through Discord itself. So,
Guys, I don't know if this is really relevant.
Christina.
Christina.
No,
Oh my god.
Christina.
Oh my god.
Christina. Oh my
Thank you
god.
so much.
Thank you, Christina. God bless
We
you.
appreciate
Thank
this.
you.
This is what keeps us going, It's all.
Christina, thank you so much.
I don't know if this is relevant or not, but over 1,239 stations on Global Quake picked up this earthquake, which is basically almost from all around the world. Like,
I'm flattered, guys. I'm flattered.
Thank you so much for the $50.
I don't want to,
that-
guys. I don't want to sound cringy or anything like that, but I've been doing this for like what, 3 years? Almost 3 years now. I've been doing this for almost 3 years. We've rebranded about a year ago, and we turned it to Disaster Central, and we finally just got monetized. Finally got monetized about 3 months ago, and we just been struggling to get that goal, of that first paycheck. And no, you guys really, your support always helps us. So thank you so much for that. Really means a lot to me. I'm sure it really means a lot to the contributors here. So
Mhm.
just we work well. We work our butts off to get best possible coverage for you, to set the best possible coverage for as many people as we can. So it helps us a lot. So thank you so much. Who was that? Christina. Thank you so much for that. It really means it really means a lot to us.
Thank you so much. We genuinely appreciate it.
Team. Damn it. Thoughts?
My thought is thank you, Christina, but also
Yeah, thank you.
By the way, I just want to quickly
someone-
point out, thank you to all 500 people who have subscribed to this channel, and from this stream alone. Just know that we don't just do earthquakes. You just understand that. We don't just do earthquakes. We do all types of disasters. So just understand that. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just no words. I cannot describe how I'm feeling right now.
Same. Yeah.
Oh
That's
my
the
God,
problem.
Slip
420.
joint. Ah,
Oh my god, slip joint.
Okay,
Here
yeah.
we go.
yeah. Keep putting these dubs in the
What
chat.
happened? Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Keep putting these dubs.
Absolutely, W.
Um,
Thank you all.
You guys are some of the nicest people that we have. Of course,
What?
of course. We try to be as informational and as factual as we possibly can. What?
No, it's nothing important. Sorry.
Of course, we try to be as factually possible as we can. Of course, we're a bunch of amateurs. It's not like, I mean, well, really, Felix is actually close to getting that degree to be a certified journalist, I think.
Yes.
So, he's probably the closest we got to professional. So we can call him a semi-pro. Yeah, there we go. That's better. We can call him a
Yeah.
semi-pro at this. Apart from him, everybody here is a bunch of amateurs that we've just picked up the scenery of YouTube streaming. So yeah, thank you guys so
True.
much. Yeah,
I do have another some more images from
yep. Go ahead.
Pilon Granma. I think that's the closest major population hub to the epicenter, and I will post the images.
Oh my God, it's Lily. Hi, Lily.
It's questionable. Lily, how are we doing today?
Tired.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, David, if you could pull that up.
Yeah, I'm about to.
Okay.
It's kind of incredible how it's felt in Miami. I mean, obviously the 2020 Jamaica quake was felt in Miami too, but that one happened much-
Emptiness Gardens, thank you so much. Y'all are
What?
too kind. Y'all are genuinely too kind.
Y'all are so sweet.
This is what we do.
Um,
And we always
Thank you
appreciate
so
people
much.
like you who are people like. By the way, I just want to say you do not have to support us financially. Just you watching this stream, commenting on this stream, liking this stream, just being here. Even if you don't
Yeah.
interact, just watching, just clicking this stream, it helps us enough. So
exposure. Yeah, exposure makes us money without you having to like pull
Yeah.
money out of pockets.
Because we have monetization enabled by this point. So you're just being here or supporting us financially.
but
But
yeah,
your contributions mean the world to us. Thank you.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Although-
this helps us.
keep spam. Hey,
There you
keep these dubs in the chat. Keep spamming those W's in the chat. By the way, there's an aftershock ongoing right now. That's such a transition.
Oh my
We
God.
got 10. What was that? What's that
Thank-
currency? Oh, that's a Swedish. Thank you, Cranophonics. Hey, I watch your channel, Crano. Very big fan of what you do. Maybe we
Yeah,
could do a
he's
collab,
a sort of.
Cranophonics. Maybe we could do a collab, Crano. I don't know.
Yeah,
John,
real.
John Capel, I do want to point out that this earthquake did in fact happen, and the reason why you aren't hearing much about it on national news is because the information on it is very limited because Cuba got hit by Hurricane Rafael 4 days ago, I believe, and so there's just not a lot of information coming out about this earthquake
That is
because that
true.
media blackout is still happening and ongoing, which is why there's not a lot of information on it.
Holy crap. Hold on. So we've just transitioned 15 times within like the last 10 minutes.
I'm so sorry. I just saw chat
No,
in my head.
it's fine. It's fine. Hold on. Sorry about this. Okay, so I don't know how to start this. So here we got some footage. We got some pictures to show you. This is some of the damages. I think this is again in Manzanillo.
No, Pilon.
Okay, so this is in Pilon.
Granma.
This is in
Yeah.
Pilon Granma in Cuba. I think we talked about this earlier on, like the beginning of the stream. I think they got a MMI. I think 5 or 6.
They
But you
got
can
like
see.
MMI
7. I
5
think
or
it was
6.
7.
Okay, so on
Whoa.
Global Quick, it was apparently wrong on Global Quick. Sorry.
No,
But
the USGS had
They
it
got
too, but the
7.
USGS low bars it.
Yeah.
And again,
Right.
remember, the USGS magnitudes are not the same as the global quake magnitudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But this is the closest. This is the closest major population hub to the epicenter.
Yeah, Manzanillo has a population of 123,000. So there is a significant population exposed to significant shaking. I believe there was also damage in Bayamo.
I
Is
mean,
that
there's just
correct?
damage practically in most areas of the epicenter. I'm not sure exactly where, but
I know Santiago de Cuba, it was feelable there. I haven't seen too much damage from Santiago.
yeah, you
And
can see
then,
cracks on homes. There's a collapsed wall on the second image. I think that's a collapsed wall. Um,
Mm.
it didn't. Luckily, it didn't cave in. That would be scary if it caved in. It caved out. So, but cracks on the walls. I think there's cracks on ventilation systems as well, uh, which is going to be expected, especially now. Again, considering infrastructure in this area, uh, it's not necessarily. I wouldn't say it's earthquake proof, earthquake sound, but yeah, yeah. Uh, that's some of the damages that are looking like outside of Manzanillo, where most of the images that we have been getting are coming from Manzanillo. So that's what we can show you.
By the way, if any of you have any more questions to ask us, feel free to leave them in the chat. We'll try to answer as many as we can.
yeah. It's also important to note that there are like a handful of smaller towns that are really close to the epicenter, so the damage there could be significantly worse. It's just not only are they small, rural, and they are also just in immediate blackout, so it might be harder for smaller towns to repair the infrastructure damaged by Raphael and also get communications out.
Yeah. The thought of an earthquake in Miami is scary. So much construction and development all over the place. Luckily, Miami is pretty developed, and the only shaking that Miami ever really gets is like MMI 4 light shaking from just powerful earthquakes nearby. So the good thing is that no, there's not going to be any damage or anything like that. It's just stuff swaying, like light fixtures and stuff like
and
that.
that's of course,
Usually-
it's the infamous big one, which is there will, of course, be damage in
Yes,
Los Angeles
but it's-
from that earthquake.
Statistically very unlikely. Like, in our time here, I believe there's only been one earthquake that was somewhat locally generated that was decently feelable, and that was the Charleston earthquake in 1886.
Yeah, we're getting a
And
new aftershock, by the way, and it looks like it looks a lot better than the last few aftershocks did, apart
Yeah,
from the 4 and the
I agree.
5. So, let me just quickly. You can see it on the bottom corner, right on the seismograph. It looks like we are getting something there. Yeah, 4.4 in the Dominican Republic region. Oh wait, this is unrelated. This is a big one here. Oh, okay.
for the news,
Never mind. I guess this is not related to
I
Cuba.
see.
Actually, this is
Yeah, please don't try to report actual information.
Not just here. I'm seeing them online. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in general. Like, honestly, in general, it's
I
all
think
annoying.
there's 2 earthquakes kind of going,
Yeah,
and I think there's like an after.
Yeah.
Oh, what
Cuba
the heck?
earthquake.
4.8.
Because the
Wait a minute.
Sorry, can you repeat that? 4.4
Well,
on Dominican Republic. So this is probably okay. So this is new. So there we go. We got a new earthquake down here.
Expected.
Strong. It looks like MMI3.
Yeah, but the stream says strong shaking. That's on the client side. Is MMI3. The stream is the newer version.
You want to know?
Mm.
You want to know the crazy thing? This earthquake might genuinely be on the fault that is also connected with the fault that had the 6.8, the septentrional fault zone. because that one also
Isn't it-
goes across Hispaniola and into eastern Dominican Republic.
So isn't that the
Okay,
flood that goes through
wow.
Haiti?
I don't know. It's jumping all over the place. The epicenter is jumping all over the place. If it's off the coast, then it's probably not associated with it.
So the earthquake bought also such Macaulay 3 for the Dominican earthquake. I'm not sure which one is the newer, better version of global quake. No one. Actually, 4.5 now.
I'm gonna do some research.
This is
flashing-
crazy.
The flashing circles that you see on the program are basically seismometers. They are just detecting the seismic waves.
Yeah, so in Puerto Rico, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys I'm not sure if you guys felt it, but there was a 4.5 earthquake that was, actually, I don't think you felt it.
Probably not.
Probably not, yeah. There's a 4.5 that struck up La República Dominicana, the Dominican Republic. And if you did feel it, you must have been in western Puerto
Okay.
Rico.
Hello, Julie Brockwell from Alta. Okay. Everyone, if you hear David cutting out, apologies. His internet's kind of bad.
Although it may also be that we're currently talking over him because it has happened in the past that he is audible on the stream and not audible on our end. So if we're cutting across David, then we're also sorry for that. We
Sorry,
cannot...
hold on. I'm just closing applications because there's just too much going on.
Balaxica Begins asks, is Haiti safe from it? Haiti is safe from the earthquake. The 6.8 that happened, yeah, Haiti is safe from that. Though, that the Oriente fault zone that the earthquake happened on is connected to the septentrional fault zone, which goes north of... It goes through northern Haiti. So that part can have earthquakes, and also the Enriquillo Plantain Garden Fault Zone. That one goes through southern Haiti. That one was responsible for the 7.2 in, 2021? And the 7.0 in Port-au-Prince in 2010. So Haiti is still seismically active, and if you live in Haiti, you should definitely have an earthquake plan in place to respond to both earthquakes and tsunamis when they happen.
I know this is kind of unrelated, but I hope you guys are liking this new setup that we have, or well, not setup. This live stream broadcast setup where we have the scroller, we have the headlines and all that, because we're still adding upgrades to these. We're still adding upgrades to this setup. You can go back to our archives. Our most popular stream didn't look like this. So yeah, we're trying to upgrade it. I'm just trying to. I've been working behind the scenes, upgrading some setups and all that stuff. So yeah, I know it's unrelated, but just wanted to point that out because I felt proud of it.
There was. I'm reading an article right now about an earthquake that was 6.9. That was also in Manzanillo in 1992, but I'm trying to find the exact location. But this could be like the. So far, this is the largest earthquake in Cuba since 1992.
Yeah.
Wow.
The biggest earthquake that affected Cuba directly since 1992.
Well, yeah.
Because the 2020 7.7 affected Cuba, but it was way offshore. It was near the Cayman Islands, rather.
Yeah.
What Joan Small asked about Puerto Rico. I think someone answered that, but I'm going to elaborate. Puerto Rico, from this earthquake, Puerto Rico, there was somebody in the chat that said that he felt, or not felt, but rather heard, interestingly enough, heard something at the time of the earthquake in western Puerto Rico. It's possible. I mean, if it was felt in Miami, has their own seismic risks as well. Like, for example, there was the 6.4 in southern Puerto Rico back in 2020. So Puerto Rico is also seismically active. All right. Puerto Rico is also seismically active, and you should definitely have an earthquake plan there too to respond to both earthquakes and tsunamis as well.
Yeah. Puerto Rico
What
does have
software
a.
allows you to monitor the earthquake? Is it public? Yes, so the software is called Global Quake. It is a free software that you can download to monitor earthquakes all around the world, and it even provides you earthquake early warnings, similar to how Japan has it. Of course, that depends on how many seismometers are in the area, but generally it detects earthquakes about at the same time as they happen. So if you are interested in earthquakes, or you want to have some sort of early warning if you live in an seismically active zone, please do download Global Quake. It's Global Quake as one word. So
Here, the website is globalquake.net.
yeah.
If my
They also have a
computer-
YouTube channel that has
Yeah.
a constant live stream going.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I suggest you, download the software because that's more real time than a live stream.
If you have a bad computer, I would recommend you go on the YouTube channel and watch the live stream if you have a bad computer. If you have a relatively good computer, I would recommend you download the program. That's what I would advise.
Mhm. You have family in Freeport.
Oh,
Freeport,
also,
the
sorry.
earthquake would be barely feelable in Freeport. So you don't really have to worry about that, and the chances it generated a tsunami is basically none at this point because the waves
Yeah.
would either already be detected
Tidal gauges.
by tidal gauges, or there would be local reports. Not to mention, this earthquake is a strike slip earthquake and a 6.8 strike slip at that, which means that it is like the least ideal type of earthquake for tsunami generation because
Yeah.
it doesn't cause a lot of vertical movement.
One thing. What I was going to say. Oh no, I was going to say that because we was talking about it not being on the news earlier. One of the accounts that we subscribed to on another server we are in, being on News Live just now, tweeted about the earthquake. So, and they are like a Twitter account. So you can assume that the mainstream TV news networks or whatever would be even slower than them in conveying this information. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as I've said earlier, part of the lack of information that we're getting about this earthquake, for example, we don't really know the extent of the damage or if there were injuries or deaths. It's just that there's no information coming out, simply because the internet blackout from Hurricane Raphael 4 days
Lord.
ago,
David's not here.
the internet
Sorry.
blacked out.
David's stream is playing music randomly for no reason. But he's not here, so he can't fix it.
Is it actually?
We apologize for any music that's playing right now. We don't control the live stream. Like it's David that's live streaming it, and he's not here right now. So if you can be patient and wait until he comes back, we'll tell him and he'll lower it down. Unfortunately, we can't do anything until then.
Bro died.
Oh, perfect.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
I don't know.
Are there any volcanoes
me.
there? I don't think there are active volcanoes in Cuba and Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. I think there's a few on more the Windward Islands, Lesser Antilles area, but not in the area where this earthquake is.
There are no volcanoes in Cuba. Absolutely none.
Unless they're like ancient, but I don't
Well,
know.
there's
I wouldn't
Probably a
know.
couple like dormant or dead ones, but none active. I know Montserrat has one, and that's the
Puerto
closest.
Rico actually has a big seismic risk which is the Puerto Rico Trench. I'm responding to Lecinia Garcia. Puerto Rico has a pretty big seismic risk to the north of the island that's called the Puerto Rico Trench. In 1918, it created what was the size of the earthquake? It was like
7.2 to 7.5.
Yeah, it was pretty big, and it caused a tsunami as well, which I don't. What was the height? 6 meters? A 6 meter
It was
tsunami?
6 to 7 meters on the northern coast of Alidia.
Yeah. And also the earthquake itself caused big damage. Okay. And the 1918 earthquake also caused big damage in western Puerto Rico too. So. Actually, that trench can actually cause like a magnitude 8 to 8.5, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but it can create a magnitude 8 at least, as the worst case scenario, which would be pretty bad.
But it would. However, I don't know the return interval of the Puerto Rico trench. There's not too much information on that. I know directly next to where the 1918 earthquake struck, there was an earthquake in 1867 that caused like a 12-meter tsunami in what would now be the Virgin Islands. So it is a serious threat, but the information that you can easily find on it is pretty lacking.
David, the music is still on, or it came back on. I mean, no. I mean, if you want to play music in the background, that's fine. But if you could lower it considerably more, because it's a little. Okay, go to like go to like 2%, and go to like 2% and see how. All right, let me listen.
The last time Cuba had this big of an earthquake was in 1992
Yeah,
with a
it's good.
with
The music's good.
6.9 in basically this area. It was on the northern side of the peninsula, and this one was on the southern, but it was in that same region.
Mel Simpson said we felt it in Montego Bay, Jamaica. It was moderate. Yeah. Thank you for your report, Mel. That
Did
doesn't.
you submit it to USGS?
David, we hear you playing something. David.
I can
No.
hear it.
Okay. All right. But yeah, thank you for your report, Mel. That doesn't. That doesn't. I can't speak. That doesn't surprise me, because the shake map shows that Jamaica got MMI 4 to 5. So Jamaicans definitely felt it throughout the island. But thank you for your report. We appreciate it. When is the last time Cuba has had this big of an earthquake? 1947.
92. There was a 6.9 in 92.
I don't think in the same area though.
It was on that same peninsula, just on the northern side, near Niquero.
Oh, you're right.
There's
dang.
not many reports about it. I think the media in Cuba was much more restrictive at the time.
This is a strong earthquake struck the Cabo Cruz sector, leaving 40 people injured and more than 820 buildings damaged in the Pilon Manzanillo area. Okay. That was literally like similar in magnitude to 6.9 ms. Okay.
Cuba reported a much lower magnitude for that one, but the USGS reported 6.9, and the USGS has 6.8 for this earthquake. And no, this is not the first time Cuba has had an earthquake. They've had several earthquakes in the past, but it's generally not as common as other Caribbean countries like Puerto Rico and Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And even like Jamaica has had a few decent shakes in the past several decades.
Okay, let's see. Yeah. If anyone has any more questions to leave, please leave them in the chat. Again, we okay, yeah. If there are no more questions, we will go on a short break.
The New Madrid fault.
This is the first time Cuba had a tsunami. Cuba did not have a tsunami from this earthquake, but this isn't the first time Cuba has had a tsunami. Like, Cuba has had tsunamis before, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. New Madrid fault can go any day now. I've been studying it all year. Be prepared. The New Madrid fault, if it ruptures, is certainly a threat, but I don't think. I mean, it ruptured in 1811 and 1812, and I don't think its return interval allows for a new rupture of that level.
Yeah.
I think it would need much more time to build up the energy needed for an 1811, 1812 type of event.
Also, the bigger risk from I did some digging a few months ago, and I read that the stress transfer that happened from the magnitude 8 and 7s in the New Madrid fault zone in the 1800s, that stress transferred to the Wabash seismic zone, which is north of the New Madrid seismic zone. It's basically closer to states like Indiana and like Missouri and stuff like that. And that probably has a bigger chance of actually happening than the New Madrid seismic zone has of having an earthquake again. So the Wabash seismic zone can produce earthquakes of magnitude 7, and those would be particularly devastating because people know even less about that seismic zone. It's not really as studied as even the New Madrid seismic zone, so I would say that the bigger risk is actually from the Wabash seismic zone instead of the New Madrid seismic zone.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of information on this. The Wabash seismic zone doesn't look as big as New Madrid, which I feel like is a given, seeing as New Madrid had earthquakes estimated up to 8.1.
Yeah.
But this article says it could be as strong as 7 to 7.5, which is still devastating for anywhere, let alone like a Midwestern state that does not have earthquake infrastructure.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it would be less awkward if you did just say that we were gonna go on a break instead of just not hearing it, but whatever.
Okay, I will tell them that. All right. We'll be going on a break soon after Lee finishes her statement. I'll be on a break. We'll be on a break. Go ahead.
I think the idea of a Wabash earthquake is particularly devastating. The rock content is there, and the soil content is ideal for amplifying seismic waves. Seismic waves travel further on the eastern seaboard than the western seaboard because of the soil composition, and also the potential of liquefaction and just the lack of quakes there, leading to a lack of earth infrastructure there. What do the colored dots represent? Those are seismometers. And blue, the more blue it is, the less shaking they feel. And more shaking, they'll start turning green, yellow, red, or black. And
So,
sorry.
I just wanted to say, Mia and Etienne asked, how can I contribute to your station? All you gotta do is just subscribe and like and just be here. Just being here and providing engagement helps us a lot.
Yeah.
If anyone would like to donate, they can feel free to do so. We obviously appreciate the gesture greatly, but you don't have to donate. Just you being here and providing us engagement is enough.
Yeah. I found. Yep.
And we're back. We have decided now that we will be closing after talks, we have decided that we will be closing um, this. Yeah, we have decided that because we have decided that because we have had to because we haven't gotten much information, we'll be closing this stream for a bit. Of course, if there's a substantial aftershock, then we'll be back at it live for it. We'll be back live for it. But I think because there's just not enough information to be able to provide. If there are more aftershocks, a substantial one, like the two that we saw an hour ago, the 4 and the 5, then we'll go back live for it. Just want to quickly point out, please subscribe to this channel. It helps us a lot when it comes to keeping the stream up, keeping people informed. So subscribe, like, watch the video, or well, you are watching it. Just subscribe, like, share this stream out, share this channel out to as many of your friends and family, because this type of work is hard to do, especially in an environment where there's so much misinformation online. So please just like and subscribe. Thank you all. Thank you so much, all of you, for watching, and especially a big thanks to our people who actually donated, our donators who donated and contributed monetary money for us. Those mean a lot, especially because at this point we're trying our very hardest for YouTube to get us paid well, and you know but it's hard to do that. So just thank you guys so much for watching. uh, yep. And if anybody else wants to close their statement. When will we come back live? Really, if today there's a bigger aftershock, like 4.9, or between a 4.9 and a 5.5, or anything greater than a 4.9 in this region, we'll go live for it. But when if there's a big time disaster ongoing, like I don't know, for example, severe weather decides to pop out of nowhere, then we'll go live for it as well. We'll go live for anything international as well. So we'll be back soon. But from all of us here at Disaster Central, we thank you for watching. It has been a pleasure to be informing you, keeping you guys informed. From contributors, you are dismissed. You can do what you want. Um, But from all of us here at Disaster Central, thank you guys so much for watching. And for me personally here in Houston, thank you for watching. Thank you for your contributions. And thank you for all of your attention towards us. This has been a Disaster Central Special Report. See you soon. Stay safe. And have a good day.